In South Africa, the people that are injured most frequently are very poor people, people that have challenges in interacting with institutions of government. Our institutions of government are slow, they're complicated, and they're not very efficient. So we have a constituency. When I say we, I mean attorneys and advocates, plaintiff lawyers. That's who we are. And our job is to really represent the interests of this very difficult constituency. I don't mean they're difficult, I mean they're a constituency and clients that are in very difficult situations and have very harsh challenges thrown at them, and very often in circumstances where they are really challenged themselves. Somebody has been in a severe car crash, they're a quadriplegic, they've lost loved ones, and traumatized people who are not in a very strong position to start with. And now they have to deal with an institution like perhaps the Road Accident Fund or the MEC for Health. And Pipla is born from a need for plaintiffs' attorneys and plaintiffs' advocates, as I said, lawyers collectively, to serve the needs and of our clients. We don't serve the greater South African public. We have a specific client base that has specific challenges that are thrown at them. And our goal is to interact with institutions and to try and improve the system for the benefit of our clients. Well, Pipla is plaintiffs' lawyers. So, somebody who's been in a car accident would interact with their lawyer, or somebody who's a victim of medical malpractice, say. So we're not only RAF practitioners, we are plaintiff lawyers in general. So you would interact really at an arm's length. You're welcome to join Pipla, but we have, I think it's now running at just over 300 lawyers that are members of Pipla, and they are more aware perhaps than the actual clients of the challenges that are faced institutionally. The client doesn't interact directly with the Road Accident Fund and the MEC, but the lawyer does that, and the lawyer is sitting in the position of having to smooth out that relationship. And the purpose of Pipla is to really try and limit the bumps between the client and the institution. At the Johannesburg Bar, say, we've got practitioners in every line of work, from insolvency practitioners to people that do domestic work, all sorts. That's not an ideal body to push and drive on a very specific need. And historically, there hasn't been a body ever that has done this. Even APRAV, which you mentioned earlier, was primarily there for victims. This is the first organization that is trying to deal with the needs of how lawyers can better represent their clients through improving institutional interaction. Where you were talking about what we're doing and where we're going, and do we want to get a big body of attorneys, and why we want, I want to say lawyers, not attorneys, because I have many advocates and there is a distinction. To get a big body of lawyers together is because it is hideously expensive to do what we're wanting to do. I can give you an example. It was recently a judge in a South Gauteng local division that was of the view that she could interfere in settlement agreements made between the Road Accident Fund and the clients. That was opposed by the council concerned, and then she set it down for hearing on a particular date. She wanted to hear argument on whether she should be allowed to do so or not. And Pipla intervened as an amicus curiae. Amicus curiae is a friend of the court, so it's not a party in the dispute, but it's somebody who tries to intervene to assist the court by doing a particular thing. And we intervened with quite successfully. We haven't had a judgment yet, but it was a good argument. I watched it. I was quite impressed with our counsel. Two counsel, though, one senior, one junior, that's going to cost us far north of 100,000 Rand, to do that. And that's one instance. There's other matters that are coming up. The Road Accident Fund wants to stay writs for 180 days, that you can't issue it. In fact, they want to stay enforcement in general, which really means, in our view, that its payment by the Road Accident Fund is just discretionary. We would like to intervene in that matter, but we have to look very carefully at what's in the bank, because we've got bills to pay. I don't drive Pipla alone. We have a board. We collectively, we have proper form. We have a constitution that's available to anybody who wants to go and look at it on the website also. And, we do operate on a decision I don't make decisions. I just happen to be the guy sitting talking to you this morning. We make them together. If an attorney wants to interact, much of that interaction is electronic. You need to be a member, firstly. You can contact anyone on the board if they want to know more. We do things, for example, the writs issue, which I mentioned last night. We put a survey out, to all members. All got an email. It's on the website. Do you think we should intervene? If you think we should intervene, how much can you donate? That kind of thing. So the electronic capacity is quite sophisticated through the website. There's quite a high level of interaction between Pipla and its members, but you need to be a member, and you need to have access to the website, and you need to watch your inbox. You get a lot of mail from us. The best way is to go to the website, to join, and then you will become a member. All the information will be available to you. You'll get regular newsletters, and they can follow that. The quickest, and you have to join on the website. But once you're a member on the website, then the processes are there. I don't believe that the number of claims has increased drastically, but curiously, the ability to pay has decreased drastically. And not just the ability to pay. The Road Accident Fund can never be insolvent. They get money from the petrol levy, and there might be delays in that, but they will always be able to pay eventually. It's other institutional challenges in the Road Accident Fund that make it difficult. To be paid in the Road Accident Fund, if you're a claimant, once your claim is settled, the Act says they've got to do it in 14 days. That just has not been there for many years. But there's a list called the Requested Not Paid list, the infamous RNYP list. In order to be paid, your matter's got to be loaded on the RNYP list. They then take 180 days to pay you once. It's a delaying thing to ease their cash flow. Plaintiffs' lawyers could live with 180 days if they knew it was going to be 180 days. But it's often much longer, and much worse than that is it takes years sometimes to get onto that list. They're supposed to get us on that list within a couple of days. It's a simple question of loading a few documents and 2 people approve it. It should take 15 minutes. I know of attorneys that have got lists of people that are hundreds of people over 200 days, some as long as 500 days, that they've not been able to get on the list. Then once they're on the list, they still have to wait another 180 days. I mean, it's a travesty. You've got someone who's a quadriplegic. They've lost their job. They've lost everything they've got. They're depending on getting their payment. And I want to say the payments that are given are, people have a tendency to view those payments as something for nothing. These people are getting something gratis. That's not so. This is insurance. They paid what they're entitled to be paid, and bear in mind those settlements are never going to put the claimant right. No amount of money is going to give somebody their legs back, and that's a reality that people face. After dealing with that, they've got to wait 500 days, 400 days to even get on the list, and then we've got to tell them, sorry, now I have to wait another half a year. The indignity that the clients face of poverty, living in the most heinous conditions, of losing their sense of self because they're not the person they were, losing often family members, a brain-injured person, their marriage breaks up, all sorts of things. Have become really dumped, is the word I was looking for, into poverty. And then you've got to put them through the indignity of an inefficient and cold process like that. It's got to stop. With the Road Accident Fund. Something needs to be done about the Road Accident Fund. And the Road Accident Fund's publicity slogan at the moment is #WeCare. And any personal injury lawyer will tell you that's ironic. It should be #We Don't Care. If they did care, we wouldn't have people that have waited 500-600 days in poverty for their payment. There are allegations that some attorneys jump the queue by bribing people at the Road Accident Fund. Those allegations appear credible. It's a matter of public record that there have been people arrested at the fund for corruption. I think a lot of the problem is not so much corruption, but inefficiency and poorly run institutions and a lack of vision, especially at the top of the fund. I sometimes, particularly since the Road Accident Fund fired their attorneys, I've had much more interaction with claims handlers at the Road Accident Fund. And these poor guys are swamped. My heart actually goes out to them. A lot of them are very good at what they do and really make an effort. But they just can't handle what is, everything that they have to do. So to answer your question, I suppose I think the bigger problem is an institutional breakdown from a lack of efficiency, a lack of leadership, and the Road Accident Fund would be in much better shape if they were transparent and honest about the challenges that they face. But undertakings will be made. This will be paid. This will be done. It doesn't happen. The fund tends to cry poverty. The latest one is, we've had a knock from COVID. Yes, I'm sure you've had a knock from COVID. But then tell us, how much money did you get in from the fuel levy? What are your expenses? What are the claims that are you facing this month? So that we know, and then we can plan, and we'd have a lot more confidence in the Road Accident Fund if they were transparent and honest. We want to fix this. We have a stake in it. Our clients have got a huge stake in it, and we're there for them. And it's in everybody's interest that we work together to make this thing work. But for some other reason, the Road Accident Fund has historically seen lawyers as their enemy, as adversaries to be thwarted and to be hostile to. And I mean, that's not always on a kind of lower level of a claims handler relative to somebody else, but especially as you go up the levels in the fund. That attitude is pervasive, and it's upsetting and destructive because it's unnecessary. Everything would be much better if we just sat down and spoke and tried to help each other. Look, when I mentioned it a minute ago that the Road Accident Fund claims that COVID affected the fuel levy, it also affected the ability of their staff to work. They were declared to be a non-essential service, which is, I think, madness, because it knocks on so heavily into the ability to get claims loaded, to get claims resolved, to get claims paid. So while it was incredibly frustrating for attorneys and advocates to not have people to deal with at the fund, the more important thing is that it adds months and months effectively onto the time that it takes to resolve a matter. And that's somebody sitting in a wheelchair in a shack in Alex that's got to wait that extra time. Many other essential services carried on working. We carried on working, and they could have also. Attorneys and advocates have been for years. They complain about the Legal Practice Council, they complain about the Bar Council, the Law Society, and with some justification. And their complaint is always, but they don't do anything specific for us. Pipla is doing something specific for you, Attorney A and Advocate B, and something specific for your clients. But we can't do that alone, and we can't do that without support. I spoke earlier about the costs in the latest case that we intervened in. It runs into huge money. If plaintiff lawyers want Pipla to do something in the interest of them and their clients, they've got to put their hands in their pockets, and they've got to come and help us to help them, because it costs money. If people prefer to just complain, just as they did about and do about the LPC and the bar, then that's their prerogative. But nothing will get done if we don't all get together and contribute.